wow, The Walking Dead was really good this week, and it was pleasant to see that. We hadn't seen it for weeks. The last few episodes of The Walking Dead, the last 7 episodes of this season, had not been the best in the history of The Walking Dead, or as far as the history of The Walking Dead is concerned. We saw Negan's rise, but we also saw all our characters being separated. We saw it was just depressing seeing Negan and his reign, and really we didn't get anything as the audience. We didn't really get that connection to the characters we normally have because they're all split up, and they were kind of slowly paced, and it was agonizing to watch. Like they had to. But heart still beating makes that all pay off as we finally see Rick realize that he's got to band together to with the other groups to fight Negan, and there's no way he can just let him walk all over him. So a lot did happen this episode, but I would say Olivia's death was, is meh for me. It didn't really affect me, but I could see how they had built her up as a character who's nice, and I could tell the first time I met Olivia on The Walking Dead that she was going to die at some point, a horrible death, because you cannot be that nice in the apocalypse and live. So her death was done, but it was sort of was overshadowed by Spencer's death, and I really did like how they did Spencer's death. From the moment we met Spencer, he's been this guy who everybody's hated because he just hates Rick. He hates everybody who came in because he blames his mother's death on him, and he's just whiny. And so seeing him die was nice, especially in such a graphic manner with Negan and the knife to the stomach. It was a very cool death scene, and at the same time, we kind of felt sorry for him because he was finally turning around, but then he died. But that's happened before. It happened with Merle. And I think they handled his whole death well, and they used it as a good way to polarize the team against Negan. Rick finally realized what he has to do, and that was probably one of the coolest episodes of the show, or moments of the show, whenever him and Michonne, got together and had that discussion, basically said, hey, we're not standing for this. We're going to gather everybody up, and we're going to go kill Negan and kill the Saviors. And so it was very cool to see Rick sort of back on top after this whole entire half the season. He's been, sort of down in the dumps. Rosita trying to kill Negan was great. But even before that, Father Gabriel's discussion scene with Rosita was one of the best scenes I've ever seen Father Gabriel be in, and Rosita, as, he basically was telling her, we don't want you to die. We need you, Rosita, and it's a very cool scene. I think Father Gabriel, he's actually had some of the biggest growth of any character in The Walking Dead. He's really grown on me, especially this season. And the thing is, he's only had a few scenes, but he's getting cooler and cooler in my estimations. And so is Rosita, and so it's cool for them to have the scene together. And of course, Rosita can't stand for Spencer being gutted in front of her, especially after he was finally going to be useful. So it was it was really cool for her to fire the bullet at and try to kill Negan. But at the same time, there's one inconsistency with that whole entire scene that really got me. Rosita's bullet got caught by Negan's bat. That's such a weird thing. You would have thought it would have hit Negan. Like, what's the likelihood that his bat's going to catch the bullet? I just thought it was a little bit far out there. But at the same time, they needed Negan alive, so I understand why they did it. But I just thought that was sort of stupid. But speaking of that, Eugene got taken by Negan, and because he knows how to make bullets, and it'll be interesting to see what Negan does with Eugene now. But while the Saviors, took Eugene, they lost. They lost Daryl as he escaped with Jesus. And Daryl, we had seen him all season get abused, so it was nice to see him escape. And he beat down Fat Joe with a pipe, and it was actually, it was justice because he was getting revenge on Negan. Sort of, Daryl's just out there ready to kill, and I can't wait to see him for the second half of the season. Like, everybody's had enough. This season, and everybody's ready to go back and strike against Negan. It's going to be awesome. The boathouse scene, beginning with Aaron and Rick, we knew they were both going to live, but it was still a cool scene, a cool set piece. I really think it was nice for them to throw in some more walkers, because, as I've said in the past, one of my biggest complaints of this season, not enough walker violence, and they provided it this episode. So you had great character moments, you had great drama, you had a reason to hate Negan even more, and you had some good walker kills, and really, I think this was probably the strongest episode of Season 7 so far. And the scene at the end where Rick hugs Daryl, and Daryl hands back his Magnum, and the whole team's walking up to the hilltop was one of the coolest scenes I've seen in the history of The Walking Dead. I nearly cried when Daryl hugged Rick, actually. It was a very great scene. So, such a good episode. I would have to give Heart Still Beating, Season 7, Episode 8 of The Walking Dead. This is going to be my final score. I'd have to give it a 9.5 out of 10.